It was one of those aha moments you have in life. I, by chance, happened to go to an extraordinarily elegant middle school in West Vancouver on a Monday in relationship to my job, just a fluke. This school has everything under the sun imaginable. A glorious environment. Every view, every window frames a view of ocean, trees, sky. They have a computer animation lab. They have an in-house television production facility. They have got an orchestra. They've got a band. They've got a science lab. They've got everything under the sun to educate children. Every kid ought to be in a school that well equipped. And then, by chance, 2 days later, my job took me to Grandview. And as I waited for the event to happen that I was there for, Sam started telling me about the demographics of the kids at Grandview. And I thought, my God, I'm not in Canada. These are two public school systems in the same province. And the difference is night and day.
The size of Grandview is small, but the critical mass is large. I mean, out of 185 kids, I would say 162 to 165, depending on who's coming and going, of the kids in a given year, this year especially, would be either ESL, First Nations, so they need additional support for those two, or they're on somebody's caseload.
And to me, what really interests me is the interweaving of all knowledge areas in a garden. There's nothing that you can't study in a garden, essentially. You can do fine art, you can do math, you can do science, you can do multiculturalism, because you can look at all the cultures of the world and how they relate to the land. So that's what possessed me. Okay, I'm going to go make sure I get this next team down.
Okay. Now, you have shoes?
And that's when I realized I had to have a landscape architect involved, because everybody said, no matter what you want to do a master plan from the beginning, because it will grow bigger than you think it will. And Tracy, of course, was the perfect partner, because she wanted to do a sustainable urban school ground. So from the day we walked into the school to work with the kids, we walked in together.
Michelle's the head of the crew with uuqinak'uuh. Yeah.
Right. I had a question. Is it more important for your grandkids?
It's not going to be muddy. And then the people who are going to be doing the groundbreaking, if we could, well, they could either do it there, or we could have the school lined up here, and we could do the ground.
That whole neighborhood has been affected by the hand of settlement on about 3 or 4 different levels over time. So here's this little school ground, and totally unaware of all these forces going on around it, but higher and higher density of residential population, SkyTrain access. 60,000 people a day apparently come through those stations. When the second one goes open, that'll be the numbers. And then the industry, the growing high-tech industry, and you have this one little jewel of land left that could be something to all those people and all those users. And so it definitely affected. What it meant was, be as grand as you can.
This area here is right to here, approximately. What I want is all that grass scraped up and piled up, and we'll truck it out. Because as I say, and eventually all this stuff here, if we have time, we'll scrape the whole thing, the whole site, and just put it in piles. The entire site. The entire site.
Amazement. I think that I just looked at them and said, well, this is a dream, isn't it? When Tracy brought these plans and put them down on the table and on the round table in the counselling room there, I just, first reaction probably was, I don't believe this is possible. But what a dream. You know, what a dream.
hammer. Just do that. Can you feel the weight at the end? So this is doing the work for you. It's all out here. It's not, and you're not pushing it with your hand. It's the swinging that does it.
Why don't we just step back?
So now try that.
The consultation process is really, really important because when the idea was in the very beginning and was being developed, the idea was to come to the community and ask the community if they would like this idea and how they would like it developed and who wanted to be part of it, rather than, you know, outside people of a community coming and saying, oh, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. So rather than doing that, it was coming into the community saying, we have this idea, is this a good idea? How would we do it? Who wants to be part of it? And also, as a part of that community development, being first and foremost to say, we're on traditional land. We want to talk to the people of the land. We want to talk to the Indigenous people within the school community itself, and talk to the First Nation people as a whole within the school community, and ask for the input that and the guidance of how we do it so we're not doing anything inappropriate. And we also to develop it to its whole. It became really clear in working with the parents at the school that incorporating First Nations culture into everything that we did was vitally, vitally important. So I applied for a grant to have the elder at the school, Ramona Gus, carve totem poles, and those would be the welcoming poles for the Longhouse outdoor classroom.
This is an important part of education, right? So fine arts itself is important, but also learning your cultural perspective and your spiritual beliefs is important as well as.
One of the areas that really needs to be looked at is that when you live in a hostile environment, poverty being one of the signposts, that one of the most underdeveloped areas is trust. And again, within First Nations people, there's been a lot of damage for a lot of years. So trust is a hard factor to develop. And trust takes a long time. So it's taking the time to teach trust in another factor. And I think by doing the garden, this is one way to give it to our community and serve their needs, but to do it with pride, so that they're not losing that, is being self-sufficient, learning to trust, learning an open knowledge base, but having the pride in that they can do it. So it's done a very good way, rather than just something that's being handed to them and enabling the pattern to continue. This is an empowerment form of learning.
At the groundbreaking, when the great big construction equipment arrived, was exciting and a little bit scary, because the first thing they did was strip all the grass off. So we went from at least everything being green to a large sea of mud instantly.
Oh, that was so exciting, and I was so scared. Those cats are big, those big caterpillars, and they come in and they go, okay, there's your drawing. Is this what we're gonna do? We're gonna dig here. Yeah, you just dig there. Because you have to understand, you're 4 years in a design program, designing on a piece of paper this big, and you get to think of all the things in the world you might want to do. No one ever challenges you. I mean, they do challenge you, but I mean, it's never challenged to the point where, well, we built it and it didn't work. When I looked at all the mud, about the third day into it, I think, and then I looked at all the kids filing out at recess, because the recess bell goes no matter what you're doing out there, and those kids show up. So it can be mud and rain, and I was very thankful that the administration was as behind us as they were.
Oh, sweet, I was dipping on something. You know what, we can figure out if
Most of our activities outside have been planting activities. And they've ranged from planting flowers to bring butterflies to planting food. We've grown tomatoes and salad, all kinds of lettuces and herbs. And the kids have been involved in putting every single solitary plant into the ground.
Eventually you can come and have breakfast here. Pick hazelnuts here and pick Saskatoon berries over there and sit down and have a great breakfast.
Sounds good.
I'll hold the plant and you take the bucket.
Oh, I can look at that.
Okay. I'll let you. You have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Each tree you plant and each set of native plants you put back in that provide food for hummingbirds and native butterflies and native birds creates life. And then you have a chance for kids to be part of studying the environment of where they live, the environment of their province, and have it make sense to them and have it be a part of their life so they'll want to take care of it when they grow up. So they'll be informed about what happens if you cut down too many trees and you ruin the salmon stream because everything's silting in. They'll know those things because they will have worked on them at school, and they'll be able to make intelligent decisions. And that's what schools can do. Schools can create sustainable environments at school so that children grow up as responsible adults.